Greetings, hello, welcome to our 10th workshop on the 12 Days of DrawPaintMas. Yes. Get a little loopy now. So welcome. This is my 10th in the series of my 12 Days of DrawPaintMas, which you can find the previous ones on both YouTube and Facebook. And so today we are focusing on a really beautiful plant, the Christmas cactus. And so I've chosen this today partly because it's called Christmas Cactus. And in this series, we are celebrating all things Christmas related to plants and animals and things related to the holidays and winter. And this happens to be a plant that blooms during the winter. Actually, there's a version called the Thanksgiving Christmas and Thanksgiving cactus and Easter cactus and Christmas cactus. So we're going to be talking a bit about this plant. And of course, we're going to draw and paint it. So if you can, please say hello in the chat box. I'd love to know if you are growing one of these or have in the past, and if you've had luck with them. I've had various luck. I probably haven't been treating them the way they're supposed to, but we'll talk about a bit about growing and propagating them in a bit. Hello, Kat from upstate New York. Thanks so much for joining me. So yes, so in case you haven't met me, hi, I'm Christine, and I'm a naturalist, an environmental educator, and visual artist from Central Oregon. Though this week I am in Southern Oregon in Ashland, and it's a quite cloudy, cold day. So I hope I'm going to be able to get to go hiking today like I try to do every day. Anyway, let me first talk about the materials I'm going to use. Now, you may or may not have materials, and that's okay. You can just watch. Sometimes it's instructive just to watch the steps first. And then later on, when you have all the materials, watch the replay. And so we are going to be sketching in pencil, and we're going to be sketching on paper. And I've got two different kinds of paper I'm playing with today. My watercolor paper, it's 120-pound cold press. And then I have a hot press Bristol board. And I've been playing with both of these over this 12 days of DrawPaintMas. So you may have seen me using those. What else? So we're going to need a brush. I'm probably going to just use kind of a medium-sized brush. And then I have a little script liner brush as well for these little lines of these styles that hold the anthers. What else? And then, of course, we've got our watercolors. I'm not going to use this pan. I'm going to use this because it has the colors I want. And I have made some swatches because that always helps to really know what your colors look like. And I've cleaned them up because I really need to have some bright pink. Now, this flower comes in a lot of different colors, but I'm going to try to emulate this pink one. Now, if you're on my mailing list, today I emailed out the high resolution image for you because in previous days, people have said that they couldn't see my drawing large enough because I had the photo up. So we're going to focus on having a bigger drawing here. And hopefully you've downloaded your picture. And then we also have a real one here. Now, I'm glad I have a photo because these haven't quite opened yet, so they're not going to be as pretty. Let's see. Cindy says, hello from New Hampshire. You had a Christmas cactus years ago, but it didn't do too well with it. Okay, well, let me first introduce this cactus to you. It doesn't look much like a cactus, but it is in the cactus family, and that family is endemic to North and Central and some parts of South America. Now, most cactus you think of being round with spines and having big open bowl-shaped flowers, kind of like a sunflower. But these are really different. Now, these actually are native to Brazil. They're native to the Atlantic Ocean side, where the habitat, they call it the Atlantic forests, and those forests are actually really highly endangered. And this plant comes from the area near Rio de Janeiro, so a very big city, but up in the mountains. And so these guys actually grow high in the mountains between like 2,000 and 9,000 feet. So they don't grow in a desert. They grow in more of a cloud forest habitat, but they don't grow on the ground like most cactuses. They grow in trees or on rocks. Plants that grow on sitting on top of a tree, like lichen and moss and mistletoe, those are called epiphytes. And in the tropical rainforests of Central and South America, you get tons of plants that are epiphytes, because up there in the trees, you get more light and less competition. And so there actually are a lot of different species of epiphytic cactus. You wouldn't believe it, but they are. One of the most beautiful ones, I think, is called Queen of the Night, and it has some beautiful white flowers. But bromeliads are another kind of plant that grows as an epiphyte in the tropical rainforest. Orchids, of course. So this is just one of those. And then, unlike other cactus, it doesn't have any spines. And it doesn't have any leaves, which is the same for other cactus. Most cactus just have a stem. And when you think of a big round cactus or like a barrel cactus, that's all stem. There's no leaves. So these, as we can see here, these green parts, these are the stems. Now, there are several species of these. And again, the only place they live is up in the mountains near Rio de Janeiro. That's where they're endemic to. And there's about 6 to 10 species, depending on what taxonomists you talk to. And let's see, I'm always having to get rid of people. Have to ban some users. Just a moment, sorry. Yeah, so yeah, there's just several species of these. And of course, the ones we grow at home are all cultivars, and they've been created into lots of different sizes and shapes, and mainly different variations of colors of flowers. So there's red ones, there's pink ones, there's yellow and orange ones, and even white ones. But I think this is the most common one, this kind of beautiful pink, or what we would call in watercolor, the hue is opera pink, one of my favorites. So let's see. Oh, yeah. And in Brazil, they speak Portuguese, not Spanish. And the name for it is Flor de Mayo, because it blooms in May, which is their more of their winter time. Same thing like here. And in Mexico, they call it Cacto de Navidad. In France, they call it Cactus de Noël. But again, it's only a native to Brazil. And of course, it's one of the most popular potted plants, along with poinsettias and hollies this time of year. So what I'm going to do first, let me see. Oh, yeah. And then another cool thing is, a lot like other tubular red and pink flowers, this is pollinated by hummingbirds. And there happens to be a hummingbird called the Brazilian ruby hummingbird, whose distribution is exactly the same as this plant, and it's really specialized to pollinate it. And then once these flowers go to seed, the fruits are also evolved to be distributed by birds, kind of like mistletoe fruits. So they'll stick to the bird's beak and its feet, and then the bird will fly away and land on another branch, and then the seed will fall off. And of course, that's exactly where it wants to land, is on another branch, because it is an epiphyte. Okay, so what I want us to do, as you probably know, being a biologist, is I love to teach people about the thing we're drawing. And the more you know about its anatomy and behavior, if it's an animal, unless it's a carnivorous plant, then the more accurately you can draw it. So the more time we spend kind of looking at it before we start drawing it, the better we're going to be. And so I am actually going to, which one should I pluck off? So I'm actually going to pluck off one of these so that we can see it a little bit better. And I'm going to put it right there. And that doesn't matter. I haven't killed it because, like a lot of plants, you can dry this a little bit. So this end is a bit dried, and then you can plant it in it, and it will become a new plant. So don't worry, I didn't kill it. But we're going to look at this, and I'm going to do just kind of a quick painting of it to just kind of demonstrate some of its parts. And let's see, I think it's just, yeah. We're getting a lot of spam today. Okay, so this is frustrating because I work really hard on these projects, and I spend pretty much spending full time these last 2 weeks on this program. So I'd appreciate no spammy remarks, but that's good. Goes with the territory. Okay, so anyway, we do have the Christmas cactus here. And so I've got the Bristol board here. So I'm just going to do a quick drawing of this real one. And I really do like to have a combination of resources when I'm drawing something. So I like to draw, I like to have real specimens, and I like to have some photo references. And if it's like a bird, I'll kind of have some video references. But basically, the plant is these jointed stems. And again, these aren't leaves, these are stems. And so there's kind of a vein in the middle. And then it happens that this one has a branch. And then they're generally, I don't know if you can see that, a little darker. They're generally, these flat stems have different shapes to them. And supposedly this one that has the kind of, oh, there's the squirrel. He's so cute. Supposedly these ones that have the zigzaggy stems, supposedly this one is called the Thanksgiving cactus, but it's blooming right now at Christmas. So you never know. So anyway, some of these species and cultivars of the Christmas cactus will have spines like this, and some will just be oval, like the other one we're going to spend more time drawing. Someone says you can't see the plant. I don't know. It's good to watch this not on a phone. You might be on a phone because it might not be exactly centered. So it's always good to watch from a desktop if you can. Tell me, Rita, if you're watching on a phone. I did move this plant, if that's what you're talking about. I'm showing this. Can you see this, Rita? So anyway, so all they have is these repeating stems, kind of the same shape. Oops, I put that one in front. It's supposed to be in back. Yeah, and so some of them have more of an oval stem, and some have these spines on the edges. Okay, Rita says no, you're on an iPad, so I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't move this any farther. And so then you've got the flower, and the flower. This is the bud here, and it's kind of an oval before it opens. And you'll see there's kind of a base to it. And then there's these overlapping things that look like petals. And in In cactus, the sepals and the petals look alike. So generally the sepal is the green part, usually 5 of them that surround the flower, and they look different. But in a lot of plants, the sepals and petals are the same. And so they call them tepals, sepals and petals put together. Anyway, so what else can you notice? Oh yeah, so there's a bunch of these, not an exact number, not like most plants where you have like usually 4 or 5 or 6 petals. Cactus family members are kind of like sunflowers and having lots and lots of petals. So you don't have to worry about being exact. Okay. Rita, can you see the plant now that I'm pointing to? I don't know if she's saying, or this is right in the middle of my screen. Can you see it now? This is, yeah, I don't know. It's always challenging trying to deal with technology, isn't it? Ugh. Okay. Well, anyway, I have to just do what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to just set that aside. And then, so we are going to, let me see if I can, oh, now you said yes. So I think, now I forget where I was. So I'm going to be switching back and forth. So it may or may not be where you can see it, Rita. I'm sorry. I know you're one of my most loyal viewers, so I hate to have it be hard for you. But yeah, in general, it's always best to try to watch from a regular computer. But anyway, so Rita said yes. So I'm not sure if, anyway. So we're going to use this photo, and we're just going to draw one of them. And I had the example here somewhere, here like this. So we're just going to draw one because we don't have all day, and I just want to go slowly. Yeah. And so I am actually using, now, of course, hopefully you guys who are on my mailing list might have downloaded your reference photo that I gave you as a bonus today. I've got it on my phone as well so that I can see it. And we're just going to draw the one in the middle. If you can see my small version here, I just did a big one in the middle, and then I did some kind of ghosted out ones in the background. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. And I'll just put that to the side there for fun. And I like to always have a sun. So I am going to make this bigger because people have suggested before that they really wanted to be able to see the drawing. And then, yeah, so that's why I gave people the reference photos. So anyway, so the very center, let's see, the very center of my vision here is right there. Rita, is my pencil right in the middle of your screen now? Is that what you can see best? Okay, so then we're going to do the drawing first. And again, I'm going to use this reference photo. And, you know, again, we studied the anatomy already, so it's pretty simple. Cindy, you said you got 2 notifications for each class. Yeah, I've actually set it up. This is very confusing. I've set up the this live streaming app so that there's a phone version and a desktop version, and they look different depending on which one you click, I think. Sorry, I am not good at technology. I love to teach, but I'm not good at marketing and technology. I can't do everything. Okay. And Rita said, yes, but your picture is narrow and elongated. Right. Okay. So I'm going to make this bigger. Okay. All right. And so you can just follow along. So we are going to make the top. Well, we're going to make the top a lot like this one. Why don't we just do that again? And then you can really see it as well. And I'm going to draw it bigger. So I'm going to have, because, I like to make my photo references just kind of suggestions. So I'm going to make my main vein of my first segment, and then a main vein of my second segment, and then my third segment. And then I think that's where I'll have my flower. Okay. So, and then, so I'm going to then draw, like this. And, it doesn't have to be exact. It is hard to do mirror images of things, isn't it? Okay. And then this other one is actually kind of behind. And like that. And then in front. Okay. And then, yeah, and then there'll be these kind of veins that are kind of enlarged. And then this other last one. And, we're not trying to do perfect botanical illustration here. And Edith said, your drawing is now off screen. I'm sorry. I just don't know how to format these different things. It looks fine to me, so I don't know how to tell. And I guess it looks different whether you're watching the YouTube, the phone version, the vertical or the horizontal version. Okay, and then so the flower, I'm going to not use this flower. I'm going to use the flower that I see in the reference photo. And so who knows if you can see this reference photo. You probably can't. And so, yeah, I'm going to do that. So anyway, the center of the flower comes down here. And the end of it is these long stamens. With the little circles for the anthers, and then the really big stigma, the female part. Joey, thank you. Yeah, it's confusing. Okay, so then now that we kind of have the lineup of how it's going to look, let's see. This one we can just pretend it's still a bud, and it will have this top part, and then some overlapping tepals. Again, you don't have to be too perfect. There's just a whole bunch of them, depending, I think, on the species and the cultivar. Can you see my pencil lines? And then the open flower is a little bit more complex because it's a bunch of overlapping parts, but we'll just follow along with me. We're not going to try to make it too perfect, but I'm going to do this first one here. I can get rid of this line here. So there's just these different arcs. actually, and then this one coming down here. Wait, that doesn't work. Sorry, now I got all flustered because it's not, some of you can't see. So anyway, we don't have to be too realistic. We're just gonna make this fun and pink, right? So and yeah. Okay, that's good enough. Dorothea said, what size paper are you using? I'm using this big 9 by 12 watercolor paper. Okay. Okay. And then so now, again, the idea is kind of to start kind of looking like this. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at these stems and paint those first. So, like I said before, I will get my watercolors, and then I previously did some swatches. So basically what I have is here. Mainly we're going to be using this beautiful hot pink and a little bit of this quinacridone magenta. This is opera pink or quinacridone pink and a quinacridone magenta, I think. And then we'll use some of this green. It's like a sap green. Maybe we'll add a little bit of green to it here, a little yellowish green. And so we'll do the leaves first. And if you can have a real specimen, it's always wonderful because you can just tell so much more about it when you're holding it and touching it. I really suggest people touch things they're drawing, unless it's like a black widow spider or a rattlesnake or poison oak, which we have a lot of in this area, so that you can really feel the three-dimensional form. And when you do that, you can really feel that there's this raised ridge in the middle, and then kind of a little shadow on either side. And then it's pretty shiny. Okay. Can you see that? Pretty shiny. So I like to do kind of a lot of just wet and wet. I will, let's see, you don't see me mixing my water here. Maybe you do. Can some of you, does anyone, how about, see my palette that I'm mixing on right now? Anybody? So I will go in with this really yellow green first, and then I'll add some shadows with the darker blue green. So I'm just gonna kind of do this whole thing just real quick, and then I'll add some highlights and shadows to it. Now, I have done a few other Christmassy plants in this series, so I hope you check those out. Our very first day, we did poinsettias, and then a couple days later, I did hollies. Again, you can find these on my YouTube channel and Facebook. So I'm just going to do this local color here, this whole thing. Of course, now it might get sunny in this window and change my lighting. And I'm not letting too much of it pool, okay? Because I want it to dry. So I'm really kind of spreading this out. Good, Helen says, yes, you see it all. Wonderful. Yeah, there's so many different formats people can watch things on now. And this live streaming app I use called StreamYard, I think they're trying to be helpful and have it so that you can watch it vertically or horizontally, but I'm not quite sure if it automatically knows what kind of device you're watching on or not. Okay, so anyway, that's really warm, but we do see, you know, kind of this ridge in the middle, and the rest of it is a really cool green. And another thing I'll always have with me is just scrap paper so that I can mix a green. And so that's kind of a really muddy green. That's a very blue green. And, you know, I can always mix two colors together. And so I will make these little swatches and see which one is closest to my plant. And I think it's actually kind of between these two. So I'm going to make a pile then of this very cool, oops, is that the right one now? What did I do? Well, anyway, I always work like this, like, because I generally like to teach people how to sketch and paint in the field. And so I will just keep playing with it until I think I'm kind of close. That's closer. Okay. So I think I'm mainly going to just do these edges and leave the center for now. And of course, I didn't mix enough paint. You always want to mix enough paint. And hopefully I can remix that. Tell me in the chat box if anybody's actually following along today. Say following, or just say watching if you're just watching. Yep, seems like I need some more of this. Yeah, I'm going to leave that center. Oh, good. I'm glad the sun's coming out. I'm supposed to go on a hike with friends today at 1:30. It's 12:30 right now. I try not to have these go longer than an hour because I know you have lots of things you're probably doing. Oops. Anyway, it's good to use a brush that you don't have to scrub too much with, that you just bring it down. I actually pre-recorded a version of this, but my new phone records in such high resolution that it took over an hour to upload. Hate technology. All righty. Joey says following. Oh, wonderful. Let's see. And I think I'll soften that ridge by just having a clean brush, kind of a clean white brush. That softens that ridge a bit. And then, you know, I can put some shadow on it later when it gets a little bit darker. But yeah, I think I'm still way too... And this happens a lot, you know. Yeah, that's a lot closer, isn't it? I think that's a lot closer. I think I need to make some more. I'm mixing this blue green with this kind of muddy green. And oh yeah, much better. See how much better that is? So it's really easy to be too pale with watercolors. And you always want to remember that watercolors dry lighter than they appear when you're mixing them. So you have to be more bold. And I plan to add some subtle highlights with just my white charcoal pencil. So I'm not trying to preserve any whites like a watercolor purist would. I'm not a purist. I just get things done however they're going to need to get done. Yes, see how much more accurate that color is. Really deep blue-green. So that's why it does help to, make these little swatches. I always practice everything first on little swatches. Have that petal there, that teeple that I don't want to cover. I think I'm going to leave just a tiny bit of edge there. Oh, I'm running out of paint. And the more you paint, the more you get used to your paints, the quicker you can remix the exact same hue. But yeah, see, I took longer than I should have because my first one was kind of pale. But I don't mind making mistakes in front of you guys because we're just having fun here, and you can just kind of see how I think as an artist, how I solve problems. Oh, now it's getting really bright and sunny outside. There. So now I still do want to soften that ridge in the center. So I'm just taking a sort of a clean, dry brush and rubbing it over there. That softens that. That's looking a little closer, isn't it? I'll give it a little bit of a space there. And I think I'll make this one a bit more in the shade. It's going to be underneath that other leaf. In fact, there's a little cast shadow on this whole part. That helps, I think. And this maybe will have a little cast shadow, depending on where the sun is coming from. We do always want to keep track of where we're going to put our sun, especially if you're in a studio like this where I've got lighting from various directions. Okay, now I want to just switch back to, so there you can now look at the flower we're going to draw. And yeah, I have it here that I've kind of penciled in. And so I have one of the flowers is still opening and one is fully open. And different species of plants open at different rates. So some plants have the one at the very end being the oldest, and some are the opposite. But anyway, so that's what we have here. And since I'm right-handed, I'm going to draw this one first and then this one. Let's see, what else? Any questions so far? So yeah, there can be up to 20 of these tepals, they call them, which are a sepal and a petal. You can't tell the difference between them. And that is one of the characteristics of the cactus family. And again, these are a little bit different than other cacti because they don't have spines and they're not round, but they just have stems and not leaves. So these are sort of leaf-like flattened stems. So, and again, they're epiphytic, which there are a few species mainly in the neotropics that are epiphytes. Okay, let's see. So anyway, I'm going to go back to, no, not that one. Okay, well, you can just follow along. All righty, so you see now I've got this beautiful hot pink, and it's really tough to get that exact, but that's what we have here is these hot pink flowers. So I'm going to make sure I'm using some clean water, not my green water, because I don't want to muddy that at all. And I think I'll turn it around here and make a little pile of color. And yeah, like I said, I've got my little cheat sheet here too. I don't know if you guys can see that at all, or if you went to the trouble to download the high resolution image I provided for you, because I knew it was hard to see both. Okay, so anyway, what you notice is kind of the base or inside of the flower is kind of a lighter whitish pink. And then the kind of tepals, as they call them, that are angling outward are a darker pink, and even this quinacridone magenta. So there is just the littlest hint. I'm just going to make it really pale here of that center part of the flower, the base of each of those. I've got a hair. That's obnoxious. There's a hair on my... Okay, so really subtle. And then I'm going to add the pink. And I'm just going to add the pink everywhere, and then make some darker areas of magenta. Okay, so kind of just like I did this first layer here. And we can go back and play with that again, but well, we only have about 15 more minutes. So yeah, I'm just gonna, and yeah, I'm gonna do this one later because my hand's gonna get in it. So I'm just gonna do this beautiful opera pink everywhere, besides that lighter pink I did. Ooh, so pretty, isn't it? So pretty. So much fun. Okay. I just get drunk on color. I just love color, but you do have to be careful not getting too crazy. So yeah, I'm just getting what we call the local color, which is basically, if you look at this flower, you're going to say, oh, this flower is pink. So I'm just going to put that everywhere, except in these first areas that I wanted to make very light pink. And then we'll add some shadowing with the quinacridone magenta. That's just a shade of magenta that's made by Daniel Smith. And, you know, some of these petals are overlapping other petals, and so we can't see that yet until we add some shadowing. But we're just getting this local pink color. And I can probably soften that up a little bit. It kind of looks like there's little lines on some of these bases of these petals. Okay, and then the these long white things, they do have some pink to them. These are the filaments that are holding the anthers. And like all cactus, there's a whole bunch of anthers. And then at the end, there's a bright pink stigma. That's the female part that takes the pollen from the anthers, and hopefully it's being cross-pollinated. And again, like I said, there's this special bird called the Brazilian ruby hummingbird that specializes in pollinating these. Now, the end of the those little blobs, the anthers that have the pollen, they're kind of very pale yellow. I'm going to accentuate them a bit more than they show in the photo. Okay, how are we doing? Can you see that? Is this? Gosh, I never know how to get this. Oh, there. I guess that's good enough. All righty. So then I'm going to go right in. What is that? What's going on there? It's hair. There's hair on my paper. Bugging me. And now it's lifting. So that's what happens when you go in. Hopefully you can't see that. There's these hairs. I think they're dog or cat hairs. All right. And so then I'm going to add a darker purple. Oh, and the last thing we'll do is this bud here. And that bud could probably be smaller because I didn't make this flower that big. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I forgot to kind of connect the flower. And that connection, there has a little bit of green in that connection, the base. I'm going to add a little bit of green. Something like that. All right, so then I'm going to go in with this magenta and just do some some shadowing so that we can separate some of these. And then I'll soften that edge. And I'm just kind of randomly putting this color in. And then I'm going to use my white charcoal pencil to add some highlights. Okay, so now I'm just going to clean and dry my brush a bit and sort of soften those edges. So you don't have to worry about getting this color exact. I don't think I have my color that exact either, because there's hundreds of varieties of these things. Joey says your cat helps you paint too. Yeah. And then let's see, how's it looking? Oh yeah, this looks kind of weird. So we're gonna add. There's even a tinge of orange in here. So, you know, for fun, you can do a little bit of layering. Like if I wanted to take a little bit of like quinacridone gold and sort of wash it over some areas for fun. In fact, I could even start with that here for fun. I like to just experiment. So I'm just going to make this gold. And then I'm going to put that opera pink kind of on top of it. Ooh, that's fun. Ooh, pretty. And watercolor is always best if you don't fuss with it too much. All right. How we doing? Again, I can go back to showing this one. So that's sort of what we were aiming for. I could probably go even a little darker in some areas with this other reddish. It was kind of just fun to do some wet and wet stuff. Layers. And then I think I want to soften this more. This ridge is definitely more subtle than I have it. So I can just wash over this a bit, rub it gently a bit. And even if I wanted to, since my son I put my sun here on this side, I could have a little bit more of a cast shadow on this other ridge. So I could go a bit darker and have, because this is a raised ridge, this yellow area. So if I wanted to just do a line on the far side of this yellow area, that might help. What do you think? Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then this one I could add, since it's still fairly wet, I want my paint fairly dry. If I'm going to add the little edges of the flower blossom, the little tepals. It's hard to do an arc. So, this isn't supposed to be a, formal botanical illustration. This is just something fun. We're basically just trying to get the local colors, as if we were at a botanical garden sketching outdoors, and we're not trying to be exact. I might give it a little bit of a little shadow. Who knows? Okay. All righty. Any questions? All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed sketching and painting with me today, the Christmas cactus, and learned a little bit about this very actually rare and range restricted plant from Brazil, which is grown all over the world now, but only lives in the Atlantic forest mountains into the interior of the area of Rio de Janeiro. And it's also pollinated primarily by one hummingbird that only lives in that exact range as well. So I hope you gained a little bit of appreciation. I think I'm going to go ahead and plant the one that I tore off, and I'm going to plant it here, and hopefully it will grow. And so I hope I've inspired you to keep working on this some more, and maybe to go to the store and buy your own Christmas cactus. So Helen, this was wonderful. Thanks so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And you can always learn more about me at christinelder.com. And you can donate on my website if you appreciate these at christinelder.com/donate. and learn more about my membership as well, my monthly membership for nature sketching and journaling at christineelder.com/membership. Okay, well, I got to get going. Dorothea says, it's beautiful and thanks. I have one that just finished blooming. Yeah. So one last thing, these are a little bit different care than other succulents and cactus. They don't like to be as dry and as sunny as other cactus. So, because they do live in these rainforests that are more shady, they do like bright but indirect sunlight. So don't let them bake in direct, like south-facing sun. And then they want to be kept a bit moister than cactus as well. Because, they don't have leaves that are as thick and succulent as a cactus to be able to hold moisture for that long. So they're fairly easy to grow, but, it's always good to know about where a plant is native to, so you can really understand and emulate its care at home. So again, bright but indirect sunlight and a little bit moister than cactus or other succulents. Okay, so Kat said, thank you for another Christmas treat. Wonderful. So tomorrow is day 11, and we are going to be doing some loose watercolors of various species of Christmas trees. So there are pine trees, spruce trees, fir trees, Douglas fir trees, blue spruce are really pretty. So Christmas trees come in a different shapes and different colors. So we'll just be doing some loose watercolors, not as detailed as this today, but just some loose watercolors. Maybe we'll put some ornaments on the trees as well. And then the very last day, of course, is in 2 days from now, which is Christmas Eve. What is the most important animal we could draw on Christmas Eve? Of course, the reindeer. So we'll be learning a little bit about where real reindeer live and a bit about Santa's reindeer as well. We'll be drawing a really realistic, shaded pencil drawing of a reindeer. Okay, so anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Ciao.